And now, my dear friend, we're going to have a lovely conversation about our new website that the Jana Marie and I have created called ASL Opera. It's our ASL Opera project, and it's finally here. And the website is asl-opera.com. Now, I'm an old guy. I like short domain names. I don't like punctuation in a domain name. I don't like dashes in a domain name. But sometimes circumstance and clarity requires you to use a dash. Because ASL Opera, which we also own, .com, looks like ASL Opera. So you sort of have to, in this situation, separate the two words or it doesn't make any sense. So that's what we did. So here we are. This is what the website looks like. ASL-opera.com, the Opera Project. And this is our ASL Opera logo that looks suspiciously like Jana Marie Sweetheart. And hey, speaking of Jana Marie Sweetheart, there she is! What a beautiful monster! From the magic flute. So this is what this project is and what this project does. We have discovered, to our great dismay, that we love opera, but not everybody else likes the deaf in the opera house, unless you live in France or maybe Chicago, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But let's say in New York City, the Metropolitan Opera, other opera houses, they do not, by default, include any performances for the deaf at all. They think the open caption system is enough, even though it's in English and not in ASL. I guess for aesthetic reasons, they don't want ASL interpreters near the stage because it would interfere with the aesthetic of the performance. Whatever. It's very disappointing. And the ASL-opera.com project is here to change that. We are here to show that ASL interpretation of opera can be a wonderful, grand, important thing that we can celebrate with each other and that we do not have to diminish the deaf by excluding them from the opera. Now, some opera companies will say, oh, well, the deaf, they don't come. The opera isn't for the deaf. They're not interested. And to that we simply say, oh, well, would you be interested in going somewhere where you're not welcome? Where it's not accessible to you? Isn't the human response to that, well, if you don't want me, I don't want you? You're not interested in allowing me to come and enjoy the opera? Well, I'm not interested in going then. That's a big PR problem. And Met Opera does not even close caption their live streams. And they do a lot of talking on their live stream shows that are not open captioned by the open caption opera lyric system. I understand they're trying to change that, but my question is, where have they been for the last 20 years? Why hasn't that been a prime directive of Met Opera to, if they're not going to offer ASL interpretation, why not offer full opera translation plus closed captions, which have been required for the last 20, 25 years by broadcast television. So streaming services think they don't need it. So this is what Jana Marie and I have been doing. You can go to ASL-Opera and read all of this wonderful information about who we are and what we're doing here. And then this is the wonderful part of it, is we find classic arias like Queen of the Night here on YouTube. And they have to be open caption and in English because usually they're sung in German or Italian or French. And then the Jana Marie sings that aria in American Sign Language. And the way that we have chosen to do it is, you double click. You click here, and then they both sort of run simultaneously, let's say. So I'm running just Jana's part, so you can take a look at what this looks like. But she's singing along, and I can't play that video on this live stream because it's a YouTube video and we don't own the rights, which is why we don't have any music in these videos for Jana Marie, because she is performing by herself, and that we own the rights to what she's doing now. We do not own the rights to the music or to the other performance that is being shown on YouTube. So what you do is you go to asl-opera.com, you find two videos that are linked together like this one. You click on the Jana Marie video to play, and then right away, fast, sometimes you have to do it 2 or 3 times to get it to sort of sync up, you go down and you click on the YouTube video. And then they will eventually both start together, and then you can see close enough how Jana Marie then interprets in ASL these interesting arias that are in a different language with open captions. Now, how does Jana Marie do this? She's deaf, I've heard. Well, she is. And this is a exercise for her in memory. So these, 3-minute videos, she has to memorize what's happening, memorize the words, memorize the lyrics, memorize the motions to match what is being done on stage, and then she presents it here. Now, we went high effect on this one because the Queen of the Night original is very beautiful, very dramatic. Now, if you were live interpreting this in an opera house, Jana would be dressed all in black, and so would the other interpreters, and they would just do it. But because we're doing this and we're having fun with it, Jana said, why don't I just kind of match Diana's Queen of the Night with the makeup and the hair and the la-la-la singing and present it that way. And I love the idea. She loves the idea. And this is really one of the best performances that we've had so far. And we have 4 of them. I'll show you the other ones, not all the way, but you can see what the idea is. And so the idea that we are now extrapolating is we're hoping that some of these other opera houses will see this ASL Opera project and say, hey, how could we do that in our opera house? And then we will offer them some help. Maybe we'll go and interpret opera for them because it's a different style than just musical interpretation. It's a different style than Broadway interpretation. Opera is high art, and that means it needs to be high art ASL as well. And there you go. So another one, this is the beautiful Jana Marie Sweetheart doing Habanera from Carmen. I'll play a little bit of that for you too. You can see, here we are, flowers surrounded, interesting background, Jana Marie Sweetheart doing her flying. And here's another one, Jana Marie Sweetheart doing Luciano Pavarotti. Now, the reason, why is Jana doing Luciano Pavarotti? Why don't we have a guy doing Luciano Pavarotti? Well, in the deaf community, it doesn't matter. In the deaf community, a woman can interpret for a man can interpret for a woman, a white person can interpret for a black person. It's all okay. We're all equal. We don't play racist, bigoted ideas in the deaf community. The deaf community is open and needs as much help and support as it can get, and we don't disallow people because of what they look like or because of what their gender is. This is what started it all. On July 11, Jana Marie Sweetheart sang this, O mio babino caro, for the folks at the Met to show what we could do. And then we went outside. It was our 35th wedding anniversary, by the way, and it was 110 degrees. And it was hot, and my phone was overheating, but the video is very beautiful, as you can see. So this is what we're doing. Now, if you're interested in helping us, if you're interested in having our help, we are very delighted to entertain you. You can email me, David, at asl-opera.com. I will also put this little blurb that we're talking about right now on this website, so you can read it later, watch it later, explain it to your friends. There are links. Is she still going? Yes, she's still going. There are links up here at the top that are important. People are missing this. To articles that I have written about what in the world we're doing with this opera project. And because of this work we're doing on ASL Opera, I contacted our friends at Opera Wire to let them know what we're doing. They appear to be interested in helping us with this project. And, maybe they'll write an article about what we're trying to do and how this is trying to work, because we are not alone in this effort. There are other people who are also trying very hard to offer opera performances to the deaf. There's a theater in France who provides some limited basis interpretation of live opera. And they've been doing it for a couple of years now. They've had interpreters on stage, they've had interpreters off stage. They're trying to mix it up, do different interesting things. And I ask you, why is France so far ahead of the United States in this? Why is France setting the minimum standard of inclusion for the deaf in the opera, and not, let's say, the most famous, important opera house in the world, the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City? Why is the Met Opera House doing nothing? It's a very strange question. And when we had our meeting with the Met, I thought that meeting was going to be about how can we make this happen? But it wasn't. The meeting was if we should make this happen. And that was a strange and awful blow. And the people we were meeting with were terrific and wonderful, and I felt very supportive. So the issue really is not with them. The issue is above them. And how do you deal with it? Well, you got to get in the room. You got to get their attention. You have to be convincing. I'm ready. I'm willing. I have a website. Let's go, baby. So one of our good friends, Nancy, lives in Chicago. I told Nancy about ASL Opera. She is a big patron of the arts for many, many, many years. She has written for me for 25 years. Go Inside Magazine, Urban Semiotic, David Bowles blogs, excellent work. And she sent me this great article. The Lyric Opera in Chicago is offering a sound shirt that vibrates for the deaf. Now, this is a technological advance that is going to work really well, because you're going to get deaf people who say, okay, you don't want me at the opera, but now what's this shirt thing? This vibrating shirt? What now? Hey, I'll come and check that out. It gets them there. I hope they're also doing ASL interpretation at the same time. So this shirt they wear vibrates, sings, and the deaf can feel the performance, feel the orchestra, feel the music more than just in their head and their seat. They feel it transmitted to their body via this shirt. And these shirts cost like $1,500 each. I will put this link in our live stream links on our Discord server, discord.gg/ or is it / BOLES. It'll be in the link. So again, I say, oh my goodness, look, the only opera house in the world who's using a sound shirt happens to be in Chicago. Why isn't the Met Opera in New York City? Why aren't they doing the sound shirt? Why aren't they leading the way? Why is Chicago leading the way? These are the questions we ask, because we are a little bit of East Coast snobs here. And you wonder why the second city is in first place when it comes to deaf inclusion. And it's confusing, and it's disappointing, and sometimes it makes you want to scream. And then here's the second one, Axios Chicago. Lyric Opera's new sound shirt lets deaf patrons feel the music. This is sort of exploding in Chicago. People are getting a sound shirt. They're being included. Come to the opera. We'll get you interpreters. You can feel the force of the music. I will post this link also. This is what a sound shirt looks like on our Discord server. You can see the little vibrating things here. Now, who wouldn't want that? And you're probably going to get some hearing people who are going to pretend to be deaf so they can go and experience this fantastic thing. I want to experience this thing. And I am not deaf. Our friend Nancy also sent us this wonderful article. I believe this is in Portland, I believe. Romeo and Juliet that she went to see, and Nancy's just, a patron of the arts. If it's art, singing, performance, plays, she's interested. If it's all an ASL, she doesn't care. She's hearing, she'll go, she'll sit, she'll watch. It's an experience. She lets it wash over her, which is what we're all supposed to be doing as human beings in a caring world. And this is the American Players Theater. And this is a wonderful article that I will also post the link in our live links page on our Discord server of the performance in American Sign Language. It's absolutely fantastic and wonderful, and we need more of that. So there is a renaissance of deaf inclusion. It was big with Deaf President Now and Gallaudet University and the rise of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And then the last, 5-10 years, people say, I don't want to get an interpreter for you, sue me. Or before you'd say, I need an interpreter, and they'd say, of course, how fast can we get you one? Not that way anymore, really. Some people say things are going backward and not forward, which is a terrible thing. But slowly with the sound shirt, slowly with ASL-opera.com, slowly with the movement in France, slowly with the movement in Chicago, maybe things are going to have a renaissance. Maybe people are going to say, hey, the deaf should be included in these things. They're the last line of defense against inclusion. Oh, we don't want them here because they're deaf. They can't hear the music. People think that way, and they say it out loud. Hey, what about the NFL? Have you seen my shirt? I love the Giants. It's the Giants football team. This is the I love you sign, gesture. Okay, so these people, this is their logo, human something, I think, went to the NFL, National Football League, and said, hey, why don't we design some shirts for all the teams with this I love you thing, and you can sell them, and it'll be like, supporting deaf people. What do you think? And by golly, the NFL said, we have an NFL shop. I like the idea. Okay. And look what they did. I have the Giants. I'm going to show you this other one. I have another one for you. Yeah. Jets. So we have two. Because we want to support New York, both the Jets and the Giants. I prefer the Giants. A lot of friends I have prefer the Jets, which is absolutely fine. We're all in it together. I don't look great in green. Blue is more my color. What's your favorite team? Well, my favorite color is, you know what I mean. So some of these shirts are uglier than others. I'm not talking about the team. I'm talking about the design. This gray, the green, ugh. I mean, it's a little too ugly for me. Here's the cowboy shirt. Hello. Yeah. Sweet colors. I like it. I like the silver. I like the white. And I like the blue. Steelers, Raiders, Jaguars, Patriots. Now this is looking very fancy. I like the fancier thing. See? Now look at that. I don't like the team because I'm from New York. Bengals, Lions, Giants, Saints, Packers, Vikings. Now this does not look like the right color purple to me. Maybe it's darker in person, and we hope it is, because that is not. Violet is not the color of the Minnesota Vikings. Here's Chicago again. A little too simple for me. I know people, you can make it not quite so bland. The orange, the dark, but okay. I accept it, but it doesn't mean I like it. The Chiefs, again, very popular. That's sort of, I'm from Nebraska, and when you want a professional football team, it's kind of the Chiefs because they're physically the closest. But the Is it orange or is it red? It looks orange to me. Orange and yellow, not my favorite color. The Ravens, the Browns, the Commanders, Washington Commanders, the Bills, very plain, very ugly. The Chargers, now that's sort of, dare I say, a little bit pretty. That baby blue with the gold. It's plain, but it's sweet. So if you're a fan, Jets, 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 next day delivery. So if you're a fan of American Sign Language, and if you're a fan of the deaf, and if you're a fan of the National Football League, here you go. Go to NFLshop.com and go get yourself a shirt of inclusion. And now we're taking a very brief break, returning in a moment.